Hello guys and welcome back to News Update with the Eagle Online Nigeria, and I am your host Amarachi. This is one of those videos where I am not by myself, I have a guest. And you already know who my guest is, but I'm going to let him reintroduce himself again for those of you that are watching us for the very first time.
Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Dr. Oladipo, and I'm the managing editor of the Eagle Online.
It's lovely to have you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Alright, straight into the topic at hand. We're here to talk about the Falana case. Now, this is not Falana, Bobrisky and VDM, no, because there has been a lot of back and forth on that end. And then we have spoken about it a lot here at Eagle Online. So if you haven't watched the videos, please go back and watch the video for better context. What I'm here to talk about today with my distinguished guest is the fact that somebody in a comment section at one of these videos brought out failed cases that Femi Falana had his chamber has taken up, and then it brought a lot of questions to my head as to, okay, we know that this man is an outstanding person, a man of integrity. He's always constantly speaking up. So because of this Bobrisky case in which they have come to wash their hands away from, why are they now talking about, they brought up the case of Sylvester Jr. or Romoni, I want to be sure of the exact surname. That is the Dowen College boy incident that happened. They brought up MK Abiola, brought up the life of Fela. So yeah, that's what we're here to talk about today. The reason why they are bringing all these negative things up, negative scenarios, dragging the Falanas, both him and his son. So sir, what do you think drives this negative public statement?
Well, this is Nigeria. And I've always said it, that whatever the social media cannot dig up doesn't exist.
True.
Because now we have the power of search, courtesy of Google. So you can have a lot of things to unearth about somebody. And it all depends on what you are looking for. If you are looking for the good, you get it. If you are looking for the bad, you get it. And if, as a journalist, you are looking for both the good and the bad, and sometimes the ugly, you also get it. So it all depends on what you are looking for. And that's why when some of these things come up, people who are aware of how the social media operates, they are hardly bothered, because they know that it will soon be
away. Okay, so like you said, they know it will soon be away. So fingers crossed, because this matter is going to 3 weeks now. But given the many critics bringing up Femi Falana's field work, how do you see these cases impacting his current work right now?
Yeah, well, I don't see a big deal to it. And I don't see how anyway it's likely to impact on it. Number one, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria. For you to be one, it means you must be somebody who is consistently appearing in the Supreme Court. And those who are processing the papers for elevation to SAN, which is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, they know what they are looking for. At least you must rent 6 judgments of the Supreme Court, which you handled. So for you to get to the Supreme Court and get your cases handled to the very last point where judgment is delivered, then you have done nothing. In a country like Nigeria, where cases stay for as long as 10, 20, 30 years in courts. So for you to go to the Supreme Court and argue at least 6 cases, then it means you have arrived. That's just the bottom line. And then added to it, for those who are trying to say Falana has failed, is the fact that they should realize that a lot of the cases that Falana and his team, that's his chamber that they take up, they are probably for free.
Yes, he stated.
So where you don't have the free one, you can hardly count them among the big cases he has handled. You will see that Falana doesn't handle political cases. You hardly hear his name there. Though at some point, years in 2003, he tried becoming a governor. That's in his home state of Ekiti. He was the candidate of the National Conscience Party, but he didn't make it. And you can hardly associate Falana with any notable politician. He's always on the side of the masses, always showing his hand as being on the side of the masses. Though, for me, it's not always that he's right. I've had reasons to criticize him if I need to. For instance, the handling of the Nigeria Labour Congress national minimum wage issue with the federal government. I completely disagreed with him at that time on a few of the issues that he brought up completely. Because also in the process of these human rights campaigns that we do, we must also be able to think beyond the agluta, which we are doing. And in a few cases, he failed. Not because he should, but that's the cause he's fighting. But for those of us who also want to look at the other side, we sometimes feel that a man of his stature should be able to rein in his clients in a way that will look at what is good for the country, not just what is good for his clients.
Okay. So now to the Bobrisky's case that led us here. With this whole controversy, Bobrisky, VDM, can you shed some light on the complexities of this case and why it has now become a focal point for them to be criticizing him?
I don't think that case is complex.
Yes, because why are they now using this, of all cases, why didn't they criticize him during, okay, let's say the Doen boy time? Why are they criticizing him now?
But he has told us that he didn't have any direct contact with Bobrisky.
And
That's
it was
what
his
he told
son.
us. His son also did not have a one-on-one. It was, according to them, a phone call. Nobody has disputed those facts, that they didn't have any direct contact with him. But like I said when we started the program, anything that happens on the social media, you have to understand why they are happening. That is why it is good, as somebody who reads, for you to be able to also interpret. It's not just about reading. You must also be able to interpret the issues surrounding what you have read. And that's where a lot of Nigerians miss it. What happened? Very Dark Man released an audio and said that was the voice of Bobrisky. If you ask me, truly, I believe that's the voice of Bobrisky. But experience also tells me that even before AI came, we already had some apps that can imitate somebody else's voice, even yours, and it was even you yourself will not believe it was him. So that's why you see that when journalists reported what happened, that's why the fact that we all seemingly heard Bobrisky's voice, we were saying alleged.
Yes.
Because that's still what it is. You've not subjected this audio to any form of what do you call it now? You've not subjected it to any form of investigation, any form of interrogation. So, people who don't interrogate issues, they are the ones always leading the debates. We need people to use the words of those small boys in those days, be calming down when they're on the social media. You've got to understand, see, whatever you say anywhere you say it can be taken up against you. If you read what Chief Falana said after the audio was released, he said the only reason he won't be going to court immediately is because it's in a group, an African group, where they're already discussing how to ensure that people do not abuse, misuse, or overuse the leeway provided for them in the laws to sue people who make comments like that about them. You can't say you are going to go to court to defend yourself in this kind of case by saying that you are only putting something in the public domain for the people who are involved to react. That's not the way it goes. You have already damaged their reputation by putting it in the public domain. If you want to behave like a journalist, what you are going to do is to take the evidence to them. Listen to this. This is what this man has said. Do you want to react? You take the reaction alongside.
Yes, the evidence.
In fact, even now, there's something we journalists try to hide under. That is, we say, all efforts to get in touch with the party that is involved in a case prove about it. That is even not permissible. It's either you get the person or you don't. So for you to now say, as very dark man said, you didn't malign them, you only put it out in the public space for them to react, is on its own very, very wrong. Because those things that Bobrisky said, they are damaging. They can damage anybody's reputation. And for a lot of people who have followed Bobrisky, they know that it's flippant. He says just anything in order to get what you Zengis have always called clouds. You want to get clouds, you want to get the likes, you want to get, but that is wrong. And what I say to people is, someday it could be your turn. And then you now know how bad it feels when you are putting a man on the spot. When you are making the man feel like he has committed an offense which he knows that is far away from. I'm not defending anybody. I'm only saying that, see, if Chief Falana and his son files, if they have any query to answer concerning that audio of Bobrisky, it is for them to react first, not for it to be put in the public space before saying they should come and talk about it too. That's why you are putting it in the public space. The best that the man could have done would have been to either start his own online newspaper and go and report it as an exclusive, or give it to a journalist who can handle it properly, who will not play to the gallery. That's what should have happened.
So why do you, if I ask you my question, recently we've been hearing this Diddy case, the American guy.
Yeah.
So, and then along the line of Diddy's case and every other person that he has, should I say, partnered with, worked with, abused, files was mentioned. So, which brings me to my next question. Why do you think the criticism concept coming up around Femi Falana is happening? On one hand, I want to believe that should I say it's a distraction now, or it is because of this whole Diddy situation. Because now, when I hear things about Hollywood people and how even the government is not the government, there are other hidden powers in place. So it's like they already know, they've already started planning for the next 5-6 years of a different country. Normal human beings that would just think, oh, they are just celebrities. So do you think this is, I know it's a very far-fetched question, but does any part of you think that this is, should I say, a play or something in place that they have just put it out there, okay, let's use this person as the pawn VDM doesn't know that he's being used as a pawn, in a bigger scheme? I think that's the question that I want to ask.
Well, I don't see how they are going to interplay.
True.
Because there is a man who is out there in the US who is answering to cases of abuse, rape, and all the rest. And here is a man here on his own side, doing his own job, working very hard. If you go to the Falana chambers, you find a lot of lawyers there who work for him.
But now it's the son
Now,
and because he's in the music industry.
Yes.
So that's what they are using
to I'm going to come to that now.
Okay.
So, because this man who came out of school so many years back, who became a senior advocate of Nigeria as far back as 2012, now has a son that you can link to issues and then use it, quote and unquote again, courtesy of Gen Z's. Drag him. You want to drag him. Let's drag him. You hear all of these things and sometimes you just laugh. That's why you find a lot of people, they are not on social media.
True.
Because they believe it's a crazy place. But for me also, I also think the way it is being handled now by both father and son is exemplary. They are not replying. So make all the noise you want to make as far as they are concerned. We've made a point. They've given VDM
defamation suit
time to withdraw it, apologize, and that if he fails to do, they are going to go to court. So it's a very simple process. If you are looking for who to drag, how to catch clout, then you should also be wary of the fact that those who want to drag and use to catch clout, they also have capacity to do certain things. Both father and son are lawyers. And one is not just a lawyer, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria who has done a lot of cases. Because like I said, for you to become a senior advocate of Nigeria, you must have gotten at least 6 judgments from the Supreme Court. And he has so many to his name. And we must be careful, even as newsmen, how we handle some of these issues. Nobody has said Falana is a saint. Nobody is. But at the same time, it could be you, it could be me tomorrow, that there will be things that will come up, and then you begin to think, really, is it me they are talking about? Because you can't picture yourself in that. You don't see yourself. Something like this, has it ever happened? And after the explanation that was offered, if you begin to piece the position of very dark man, that of Bobrisky, the prison service, the Falanas and all together, you begin to make some sense out of it. None of those institutions mentioned, including the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, can be said to be populated by saints 100%. There is no gathering in which you will not find a Judas among 12. It's always been like that. So if you have some people who actually want to take money to do certain things and all the rest, then they should answer to that question. Not for somebody you have now said, or who Bobrisky claimed collected 10 million in order to esteem his release from prison. I'm not sure if that ever happens. Because normally what we should expect is somebody is sentenced to 6 months imprisonment. By the time that term gets up to 4 months and maybe maximum 4.5 months, that person is out because the prison terms are shorter. It's not the regular number of days So when we are making all of these allusions and all the rest, we should be careful so that we understand that all of these things have processes. Bobrisky spent more than 4 months in prison, and that should make up for the 6 months.
There was really prison though, because the voice notes we're hearing is he said that he wasn't in prison. He was in an
You
apartment.
said the voice note, and I've said who has subjected this to any form of test.
Okay, aside from the voice note, when Bobrisky came out of prison, he was looking very fresh and very well put together.
Well, if you ask me, as a man with long-standing experience in journalism, I've also seen people who have gone to prison and they look better when they're on the outside, when they come out.
But Bobrisky is a man that poses as a woman. So you're saying beards didn't grow. I mean, his hair was laid perfectly well with
nobody, even in the prison, you have access to cut your hair. There are people who are trained as barbers among the prisoners. Barbers come from outside of the prison to give people haircuts and shave them up. That's why at some point, you go back and read where the correctional service offered us reasons why they moved from Nigerian prison service to Nigerian correction service. Imprisonment is punitive, while correction center, which they call it now, is to remold the person to be able to fit into the society. So when we make it look like people who go to prison are supposed to look haggard, very thin, and frail when they come out,
they don't take care of them.
That is what you hear. But do you know that as a prisoner, everybody is entitled to receive visitors? Your own people are entitled to bring you food. So what it means is, somebody can bring in prison and be eating good food outside of what all they do is ensure that the food that people bring in is not poisoned. That's all. So we shouldn't make it look like the prison is a death sentence. It's not. The correctional center is supposed to correct. It's supposed to remold, not to punish. That's why when people go there, you see now, one of these years, one of the best students from the National Open University was somebody who was in a correctional center. Don't use the word prison again.
Yes, correctional center.
So that's why you find out a lot of them are writing WASC, West African Senior School Certificates examination exams. They are writing it. A lot of them are doing NECO, National Examination Council examinations. They are going into universities that can offer them online courses, and they are coming out fine. So making it look like when people are taken to prison, correctional center, it's a death sentence. It's not.
I feel like people expect him because, Bobrisky is a man, so you have put him in the section for men.
Yes.
And other men there in the correctional center with that mindset of as a guy, even now outside in Lagos, the street, when we see some men dressing up as women, you see some other guys, they want to bully you, harass you. I feel like everybody just had the mindset that Bobrisky being put in a place with other guys shouldn't have come out looking the way he did.
Okay, but we offered an explanation.
Okay.
That when he came in and they looked at his physical outlook, his outward appearance, they further segregated him from the men. They further segregated him from the men into another area, so that he has little or no contact with the general men in the correctional center. That's the explanation we were offered. There was nobody who saw Bobrisky when he came out of prison who didn't say he's looking better than when he went in. And don't forget, when he was here, he was walking around, getting into one trouble or the other, making so much noise. So getting a time to rest gave him some flesh. I want to believe. Because I've said it and I'm still going to say it. When people go into correctional centers and they are abandoned by their families, there is no way they will not come out looking tattered and unkempt. But when somebody goes into a correctional center and sees love, even if it's once in a week that they come to visit him, he eats good food, which is allowed, then you don't expect the person to come out looking haggard. You know? So it's a function of how you got in there and how you are treated in there. Not necessarily by the correctional center staff, but by your own families. Who comes to check up on you? What do they bring? You know, and all the rest. So it's I would say bullshit saying he came out looking fresher. You can't. We've seen other big men who went into prison and came out looking better. I didn't see some of the people who were detained for a very long period of time. For instance, after the exit of the military from power, people like Hamza and Mustafa, I didn't see them coming out looking at that. I didn't see, for instance, General Babi coming out looking like that because they had people who were attending to their needs, family members who will, some of who are even sent back home because of the number on daily basis who storm the correctional center to see them. So it's a different ball game when you have people taking care of you than when you are abandoned to your fate.
Okay, so I have two more questions for you before I let you go.
Thank
We know that Femi Falana has significantly contributed to social justice and human rights. He's a working activist, basically. Mhm. So, but now that the current backlash has come up, do you think it's going to impact his conversations about activism in Nigeria? Do you think he's going to withdraw back, seeing as these are the same people that he's trying to help? I know that's a personal human
I
being.
really don't see that happen. It's happened before where, for instance, somebody like late Chief Benfire, also in his lifetime, is senior advocate of Nigeria, committed some slips. We've seen late activist Tashola also committed a slip. But it didn't bring to an end their activism. Not to talk of this one where there is nothing that has indicted the Falanas, nothing so far. What people are saying are largely based on emotions. You know, we are in a country where people like this saying, the rich also cry.
Very true.
You know, we like it so much when we see, for instance, a Jaguar break down on the road. It's like, what catch them? We like it so much. But we have to take it easy and understand issues as they come. We can't lump every issue into one basket. You must be able to separate them. Whether you like it or not, Falana will still remain the lawyer of the labor union. Is still there. Whether you like it or not, the likes of Omar Elisho, who is an activist, will always pander to the likes of Femi Falana to handle their cases because they know that he understands the nitty-gritty of the laws governing human rights. Because a lot of people just feel any lawyer can handle any case. No, it's not just any lawyer. There are areas where you are grounded, and Falana is grounded in this. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not been handling political cases. It's not. We don't see him standing up to defend the government after losing an election. We've not seen that. But we've seen him handling cases that involve the downtrodden, cases that have to do with human rights. You don't fault such people because they already understand the loopholes, the nitty-gritty of such cases, and they make good use of them. So in this case, I don't see how it's going to affect him. I don't see it. You mentioned some cases earlier. I'm sure if 10, 20 more of such cases should arise, people will still go to him. And like I said, don't forget, he does a lot of them for them. So it makes life easier for him. People will keep going there because they know that once they get there and he sees, oh, this is something that has to do with human rights, he takes it on. With or without money. Like I also said, I'm not saying Falana is not without a blame in his entire life.
I mean, he's a human being.
He's a human being. So we can always go back and dig here and there and say, you erred in this area, you erred in this. But on a general level, especially with this case, I think it's still standing right.
Okay. Quick one, before I get to my last question. How does Falana make his money? Seeing as most of the cases are pro bono.
I'm good to mention most. There are some that is well paid for. And as a man who also knows that he will be spending on pro bono cases, he must learn how to manage his finances. Good news is children are doing well. So he doesn't need to keep paying their bills. And then don't forget also, there are some bodies that are dedicated to fighting for rights issues.
Yes.
They also support lawyers like this. They support journalists also who venture into investigating such cases and write on them because they are not usually popular with the people. You understand? So somehow goodwill and other cases come in handy for him. And don't forget, like I've said, because a lot of people also think that Falana is a troublemaker. He has been there for long. And one of the things he learned early is to cut the media. So that's why it's easy for him when he's pushing all these pro bono cases to get the attention of the media. Because he's a good friend of the media, whether you like him or not. He wants to be a friend of the media. And he's making good use of that. So when you keep reporting such cases, even international attention will be on him, which he's getting now. And which I know ultimately will distill into funds or funding for him and his business.
Okay. Impressive.
But that's what I'm saying there. We only see Falana when he goes for pro bono cases. He has a lot of lawyers under him who go for the real cases. He sits in the background, except when it becomes a case in the media that people are following. How many other cases do you know Falana is in court for? Today now, do you know how many he has attended personally? But because it's not a Bobrisky case, they are not focusing on it. And those are the ones from where we'll get some money and be able to pay his bills. Because it's not the case of the child from Dowen College. We are not facing, we don't pay attention to it. So he has a lot of other cases going on, to which he sent lawyers. At least I know a few of his lawyers, and we interact. So he makes money.
Okay. So my last and final question before I let you run off, sir. You mentioned the people that are criticizing him currently, they are doing it out of emotions. Your final words to the audience today, let it be along the lines of the importance of separating their emotions from situations like this.
Yes. Like I said, nobody is a saint. Somehow, when we go and dig, we have a lot of things or a lot of areas in which Falana has erred. Like I said, as a person, I don't like what I would describe as his blind support for Labour. And we are still going to be referring to him, whether now or later. We knew the government was going somewhere with the issue of fuel pricing. We knew from the onset when this government came. But one of the things that further fueled this move was the forceful bargaining of Labour that got them the 70,000 naira minimum wage. So we knew that minimum wage would be paid from somewhere. That's why power is going up. Fuel is going to go up. So somehow we've got to find a balance. And for me, for that, I think it should have, that's my own opinion, caution labor more. That what you are going to do as a union that will get you, that's the labor union now, more money as salary is going to affect the whole of Nigerians and will take away even the little gain you think you have made from getting that increment. But it doesn't mean that government is right, because a worker should be entitled to his wage, and a good one at that. But on the whole, we also need, as social media users, to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. People just want to get on social media and make comments. That is not right. Because in the process of doing so, you are passing the wrong lessons to those who don't have a clear understanding of what the issues are. And then in the process of doing so, you are maligning people. And for which, at any point in time, if that person decides to take any legal action against you, he's right. And then people will now say, he locked him up. No, it's not him that locked you up. It's the law. Because if somebody reports you to the police, the first thing the police will do is to invite you for interrogation. If you are interrogated that day and you are able to go home, fine. If you are interrogated and you are able to go home, you need somebody to bail you, so be it. So we should be very careful the way we do things, so that it's not like I said earlier, we must drag him. We don't need to drag anybody. Let people be. That's why, like I said earlier, some people stay on the social media. But we all should be there so that we can know what is going on, be able to take right decisions, and everything will be fine with us.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here and for every single thing you said. I'm sure that everybody out there has picked up one or two things. And most especially, please, let's stop dragging so that they stop attaching us Gen Zs to dragging people and clout chasers. I beg. Alright, guys, so that is going to be all. Hopefully, for this entire Falana, the very dark man and Bobrisky's case. And I cannot wait to see you the next time here at the Eagle Online Nigeria. I remain your host, Amarachi, and my lovely guest, Mr. Dotun Ladipo. Bye.